we want to do now, so that I keep my word to you, is every group, every single group, please take not more than 5 minutes, 5 minutes maximum. And the purpose of this is just to share a summary of what you discussed in your team, so that everybody else who was not there will get the key points, just the key points. The way you can then help me make sure that the detail of it is shared, if you take down my email address, ronyango@kpmg.co.ke. If you send those summaries to me, I will consolidate them into one document, and every one of you will get a copy of that. Is that fair? I think that would be fair, all right? So that for this moment, so that because we are tired and we really must go, 5 minutes maximum. So here is what I want us to do. The first group that I want to present on your discussion is the group that was discussing technology and cloud computing, that was led by Nikki Summers. Is Nikki here? There she is. Nikki, please come, spend 5 minutes. Just give us a summary of your discussions, and then you'll send me the full detail, which I will then share with everyone. Thank you.
Right. So we had a discussion around the software as a service being cloud computing and traditional computing. And there's still a lot of questions about it. And the action items that have come out of our session is the following. Is to get someone to come and speak to the top 100 and truly explain in basic, simplistic terms what cloud computing actually is and how to use it to your advantage. When we're talking about connected services in the cloud computing space and adding value-added services. The next topic that is of huge concern when it comes to cloud computing is security. Everyone is wanting to know how secure it is, how secure my data is. So we will bring in someone to have a discussion around that. And then the other major area is how to use cloud computing and connected services, as we call it, to drive additional marketing into your business. We were just discussing an example of a company in South Africa. I think quite a few of you will know Pick and Pay retail stores, which is similar to Nakumat. They've introduced a Pick and Pay banking card. Now, that wasn't their core business. It never will be their core business. They've also introduced where you could pay for your electricity bills, your postal bills at their premises, at their actual checkout tills. And what that's done is driven more feet through the door, which will purchase more products. So looking at how SMEs can utilize these platforms to generate and drive more business. And then the other thing from general technology is to have a technology webinar, because it was noted that traveling to a forum to specifically sit down and discuss something is not always easy for everyone, and you've got to include 2 hours of traffic, getting somewhere, getting back, to do a lot more of interactive webinars, and also to create a blog where on the Top 100 website where we can chat about technology and where we can have experts answer questions that you may have as SMEs on technology. Thank you.
The next person that will come and present is Ashini. Ashini is with the team that were discussing challenges facing SMEs. So Ashini, please come and give us your 5 minutes or summary. Thank you.
Okay, so Shield's group basically discussed the challenges that SMEs are facing. And the first point that came up was the succession policy. With regards to, do you first of all invest in a management team? Do you exit the market once you've reached that stage where you can no longer take care of your company? Or do you pass it on to your children? And if your children are not available, they've gone off to do other things, do you wait for your grandchildren? So that was one of the challenges. Second one was raising finance, basically growth related in particular. And Basically, the thing that Sheil mentioned was that we should be probably doing an option analysis. What sort of options do you have, and what gives you the best value from that analysis? Innovation of products by banks. So banks are starting to innovate in such a way that they can provide loans or other financial aid to SME markets, but again, this is very limited. And the other option was equity partners. The other point that was raised was what are the growth sectors in the market over here, especially for entrepreneurs, and how they would like to get into that particular market so that they can innovate in that area. And again, this was referred down to what other countries have done. For example, China and India, and how they've grown from these small SMEs to large organizations, and how they've managed to sustain themselves within their countries. The other challenge that was presented was reorganization. Again, a lot of organizations say that I want a restructuring done, but that might not be the ultimate solution. What you probably do need to do is to rearrange the business so that it is more focused around your core products, or managing that organization from a regional point of view. So that was another challenge. One of the other challenges, again, which also touches on one of the other groups, was skilled resources. So again, Kenya has a very limited skilled resource pool, should I say. There are, yes, a lot of people coming up through universities, but that's not enough. What you learn in universities is not the same as what you would learn in an organization. So it's important to invest in training for these, for your workforce to upskill them. The other point was on reporting tools. So rather than just having a, say, accounting tool, why not have an end-to-end ERP system, and to invest in that particular area so that you know that when you need information, it's available almost immediately. You don't have to wait for somebody to give you that information because they're holding on to it. This information within an ERP system is more readily available. The other point was on communications. So as you expand, you need to ensure that you're keeping your employees, should I say, in the loop. So you're communicating to them the vision, the mission, your strategy, so that they're more involved in what you're doing and can help you build as you grow up as well. The next point was on strategy. Again, what is your strategy? How are you developing your strategy? What sort of innovative ways are you thinking of other ideas and helping to maybe not stay in the shell that you're comfortable in, but to moving out into other areas that will help you achieve the growth or that objective that you set for yourself. The next point was on realizing value. So the question here is, why are you doing all this? Why have you gone into business? And then how are you realizing value at the end of it all? So the effort that you've put into your organization, is it worth what outputs you've achieved? We also discussed on risk management. So what exactly are the risk management or what risk assessments have you done to ensure that you're mitigating against the risks that are currently inherent in your business? So you can look at all the external points of view and what other people, or how other people are affecting your business, but what about from the inside point of view? What exactly are you doing internally to increase your efficiencies and the effectiveness of how you do things? And then the final point was on getting quality advisors. So this was more aimed at us as KPMG to provide affordable packages so that we as advisors can help you SMEs grow to that level where you're no longer SMEs, but then part of the Club 101. All right, I think.
Thank you very much, Ashini, for that. A big round of applause. Thank you. The next group that I'll ask to come up is the group from the Nairobi Stock Exchange, which was about raising capital, raising finance. They will be represented by Lina. Is Lina here? There she goes. So you have 5 minutes to give us that summary, okay? After Lina, we will have Paul from Strathmore Business School, and then Franklin, who was one of the group members, will come after Paul. Okay, go ahead, Lina.
Okay, thank you, Robert. My name is Lina from the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So our breakout session was about raising capital. We diverged a bit and went a bit into other issues around the NSE, which I'll go through as well. So for our session, we had an investment banker with us just to help facilitate our session and to address any issues around advisory of raising capital on the exchange. The first issue that was raised was around bureaucracy of the exchange and disclosure requirements. So this issue has come out quite a lot, a bit heavily, because many companies are feeling that whatever they need to come onto the exchange requires them to disclose a lot of information or the bureaucracy involved. So we addressed that issue. We also discussed, the next point was how the NSE is looking to mitigate or reduce this bureaucracy. One of the issues that we brought up is we introduced the nominated advisors for the GEMS companies, and also that these so-called bureaucratic processes are actually disclosures required in the normal working business practice. For example, issues around tax, issues around having audited accounts, issues around corporate governance as well. We had a question on the Home Africa listing, the question around its PE and its valuation. So we'll discuss that also in the summary sent to Robert. We had a discussion around the minimum and maximum number of shareholding one person can have in a GEMS company. So we discussed, is it necessary that, I mean, what are the requirements or regulations required by the NSE in the amount of shareholding? So we discussed that in the GEMS, for example, in the GEMS market segment, the company needs to offload at least 15% of the of its shares to at least 25 shareholders. It then tiers on to the other market segments. For the alternative investment market segment, it's 25% to at least 100 shareholders, and then for the main investment market segment, it is again 25% to at least 1,000 shareholders. So it depends on how comfortable you are as a company and what type of shareholding you're willing to offload onto the market. We had another question still related to shareholding and ownership around, can you go public but not let go of a high percentage of ownership? So this question then diverged into what type of, where you are as a business, what type of capital you'd like to raise. Would you like to go the equity way or the debt way of raising capital? So then it raised the question of, if you do not want to let go of any shareholding, if you want to own 100% of your company, then maybe the best option for you would be a debt option. Still, in the capital markets, we have debt options around corporate papers, for example. We had a discussion, a very detailed discussion on dividends, and we addressed issues such as different companies offer different dividends to its investors. So I think the main discussion was, for example, you have a company like Centum that is not giving out any dividends, and then you have EABL or BAT regularly giving dividends to its investors. So we needed to get some clarification on that, on whether is it in the best interest of an investor to invest into a company that is not giving dividends. And then at that point we addressed, why are you looking to invest into a certain company? Is it to get a regular dividend, or are you looking to get a capital gains on your investment? As a company, the next point that we looked at is, what is the best way for you to raise capital? Is it to go the private way or to go public? So are you looking to raise capital, for example, through PE, or are you looking to come into the capital markets to raise your capital? And I think how we address this issue is that it depended on where your business cycle is, on where you are on the business cycle, and the strategy of your company. So it depends on what level you have reached in your company, because both methods of raising capital it just depends on how your strategy is at the moment. We had a question around valuation. We had two questions around valuation of a company as they're coming to list, in relation to how much money they will be able to raise, and whether they're coming in through an initial public offer or through an introduction. So the question was raised is, the question that came up was through what is the best criteria for evaluation of a company, and then raised the issue that it's dependent on the industry that you are in and your business. So valuation, whether it's the discounted cash flow or any other valuation, it's just dependent on the industry that you sit in. There's a now valuation question around UAP. I think I'll give more details on it with Robert. I'm running out of time.
Yes.
And I think the last issue that we raised was is there a minimum or maximum dictated by the exchange on how much money you can raise, how much capital you can raise through the capital markets. So just to clarify that the exchange does not dictate how much money that you're raising when you list. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lina. A big round of applause. I just received a report. The traffic window is opening now, and shortly I will be releasing you. So it's looking very, very good at the moment. It's fantastic. Paul, where is Paul? Thank you very much. Paul, come. You have 5 minutes so that we take advantage of this little window to get us back into town and the other places we stay.
Thank you very much, Robert. And we had a very animated and interesting discussion over there. The topic we're discussing was sustaining family business across generations. My name is Paul Ouma, and I work at the Strathmore Business School. The first agenda we asked was, what is a family business? And we shared a lot of insights. We had a family of a husband and a wife, so first generation. While still discussing what a family business is, we also had a fourth generation in our group there, who gave us very many insights, Parkesh. We had a second generation, and this was recent because he's in the business with his father and son. So one of the questions which was asked, how would it have been if it was father and daughter, all right? And so he gave us insights, and in terms of looking at family business, we said that the core thing which should determine whether the family business is the bloodline, because the founder of the business would be looking at how can he or she build his or her legacy. So in terms of what a family business is, well, some of us said basically it's a concept. It's a concept, but generally we said, and based on the experience we had of our fourth generation, second generation, first generation, we sort of had a concurrence that a family business is one which is run along the bloodline. However, it brings in the aspect of in-laws. How do you handle the in-laws when they come in? Because we then looked at what is the structure of a family business. That was second agenda. What's the structure? Because inevitably, the gentlemen will bring in the wives, and the wives, we don't know whether, we had different views. The wives, will they bring in the husbands, or will the husbands take them? So this debate brought an aspect which one of our participants called it, when you bring in the husbands, there is genetic dilution. All right? So it's like, okay, now please explain. Because it's bloodline, when you come to structure, because you're looking at the business, you're looking at the ownership, and then you look at the family. And anytime one of these pillars of the family business becomes destabilized, then it has a problem and it can affect the whole business. And there are some examples which were given, and some of them are fairly in the public domain, where just because one aspect, which is a family, can't agree on a basic thing like who is the signatory of the accounts, that brings a problem. Am I going to buy for my wife a Mercedes, or is it going to be one of those other brands? That brings a problem. So what we said is, in terms of the structure, we need to have a clear aspect of how we are going to govern these three structures. What's going to manage the family, what's going to manage the ownership, or what's going to manage the business. And we came around discussing a document known as a family business constitution. All right? Not BOMAS, not the BOMAS constitution, but a family business constitution. That is the governance tool which then manages the relationship between the family, and it will spell aspects like what is the mission of the family? What do they want to achieve 3, 4, 5 generations deep? Who do they want to be in the family decision-making, the co-family decision-making organ, the family council? How are they going to employ people, especially family members? Are we going to bring young people straight onto the board? Are we going to develop them? What happens when the 3 or the 4 brothers have different levels of education for their children? And then when they become adults and they want to participate in the business and they're going to pay different salaries, how do we manage that? And that brought in the aspect of tying the strategy of the family and the governance, so that as the generations grow, we have this tool, which is the family business constitution, and it captures the aspects I mentioned about, but also brings in some aspects like having a mentoring system. And there's an interesting example which was given, that the older members of the family can develop what you call, or develop a buddy system, where we mentor the younger generation, and we talk to a specific younger generation very frequently, especially where there's good chemistry. All right? And so what that does, it helps to build the younger generation, so then they see and they get to like the business. There's a question about, now we know many families we take our children out to study in the UK, in the US, Australia, South Africa, etc. Then when they come back, they want to tell you how to run your business. Sounds familiar? First of all, they tell you that, I was told that Saturday and Sunday are holidays. Dad, you want us to be working on Saturday and Sunday? I'm sorry, I can't work on Saturday and Sunday. Those are my breaks. You tell him, but we've built this business around working at least half day on Saturday. Then you start this big debate, and which it go on until midnight. So again, you said, spell out how the business is going to be run, have the corporate governance structures, spell out what have we agreed. And how do you arrive at spelling this out? It's by consensus. There was a question, I'm going to have my grandchildren in the business, I'm going to have my children in the business, and at the moment they're 5 years old, all right? How do I ensure that they understand that we have to work half Saturday? And the consensus was that when you're building this business constitution, the family business constitution, you've got to build it when everyone can still sit around the table and talk, not when everyone is at that point throwing stones at each other. So when you build it when you're still around the table and you have good camaraderie, then you can be able to put in all these clauses, and the family then can be able to build. Finally, we talked extensively about succession planning, which is a key thing as I finish succession planning. There are many big companies. You know, we have the Walmarts of this world. You have the Gap, which is a family business. We have Trump, that's a family business. Did you know BMW is a family business? All these are family business. We know the Wipro in India, these are all family businesses. But what they've done is that they ensure that they involve the young people at the time when, as they're growing up, because it's very easy to form young people as they're growing up, so then they can be able to get into business. So finally, how do you manage conflict? The family business constitution will spell out, first of all, when there's a conflict, who sits around the table to discuss this conflict? All right? You need to have a family council who's respected, whose members are respected within the family, and they'll sit down and they'll take care of all the interests. All right? And this family council and the family business, a family assembly meets at least twice a year, once every 2 years, so that those young men and young ladies who come from the UK, the new ideas they come with can then be incorporated into the document. So the family business constitution is a living document. All right? That's basically what we arrived at, and I think it was very interesting. And finally, what we said is that we've got to put this in place because they're saying that the first generation makes the money. The second generation enjoys the money. And the third generation destroys it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul, for that. Just before I call the last presenter, please remember, Ashini, Paul, Lina, everyone that has made those presentations, please send them to me tomorrow. Yeah? If you do it after tomorrow, you will dilute its efficacy. So please send it to me tomorrow so that I can distribute it widely. I'll make time to do that if I get it from you. All right? And everybody else that has presented. Okay, so we have our last presenter. Francis, it was? Yeah? Franklin. Fantastic. I like your dress code today. Okay.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Franklin from Classic Moldings. We're interior designers and construction services. That's what we do. And we had a very interesting discussion about online. And to be honest, I've had a very good day today. And all of you presenting, I've really enjoyed everything. And what we talked about in brief is that for you to have a very effective and an ongoing online presence, you need to get yourself a website. That's where you begin. And once you've gotten yourself a website, there are other things we need to do. And we talked about LinkedIn. I don't know how many of you are aware about what LinkedIn is, Twitter, this Facebook. And what you are saying is you need to integrate all this so that now your website will act as the base or where you have all your information. Then you can get to communicate with people easily and be able to engage them on LinkedIn and on Twitter. And then you're referring them back to your website where you have the main data sheets. Because there now you have all your products well listed out. Then you have all your contacts in there. You have people who respond to queries from your main website. But with just a website, you may not be able to drive traffic to your own website without using these other free handles that help you bring in the traffic. Then we talked about blogging. I'm trying to summarize and not to bore you with a lot of technical words. We talked about blogging, and blogging, it's all like creating at least a page once a month. You don't have to do a lot of it, because what is happening right now, I love what he pointed out, that in Kenya right now we have a very fast internet service with all the fiber optic cables that have been laid. In fact, I was surprised to find out today that you have better speeds than South Africa right now. That means people are able to communicate with you more easily without a lot of delay. And apart from that also is that with the current generation that we have right now, all of them are online. And as the last presenter we had here, as he was speaking in the morning, and he was talking about his company, and he did this, he did that. The first time he mentioned the first name, Nice and Lovely. To be honest, I went into my laptop, to my iPad, and I searched very fast to get, and I got all the details about him even before he could continue talking, and that's where we are right now. And what we are talking about now is trying to get yourself a blog. A blog is where you talk about yourself, about your product, about your company, and with this blog, it's like you're creating a database for yourself online, because all these people are looking for information online. Do you have a presence online? Do you have an identity online? That if you're a pipe manufacturer, if you talk about your brand to someone, if they don't know who you are, if they're going to search for you online, what are they going to find? Are they going to find some funny photos talking about a company in Australia and in Kenya? Or are you online? And what we are talking about, the blogging, is you can do it once a month. You don't have to do a lot of it. Just create for yourself a blog, update it at least once a month, and all this data now, if people are searching for you, the information you're writing on the blog is what they're going to find. And apart from that also, we've talked about the world being flat with the internet right now, which means people can access you from any corner of the globe. So it also has advantages. At times we feel like we are so vulnerable when you're releasing a lot of information online. But also we talked about security online, and we are saying we need, if you don't understand social media, get yourself a webmaster. Because a webmaster, what they will do is they will help you take away the junk emails that keep disturbing your inbox. They help you manage that. Then apart from that, they're going to do something called optimization, whereby they're going to create traffic for you and generate traffic to your website. And they will help you also figure out who is looking for you and where are they coming from. And when you do that, you can see now maybe every month I'm getting hits from Nakuru, I'm getting hits from Mombasa, I'm getting hits from Naivasha, I'm getting hits from Norway or from France. And based on that now also you're able to do targeted marketing because you have the information of who is coming to your website. And also something else we've talked about is different medias that we use to speak out to people. And if I can quote Anne Gitau on this, she said that TV will be able to give you that emotional connection with your client. And when you talk about newspapers, it's good for details when you want to give people detailed information. And when we talk about digital, it's a great way to be able to engage people. Yeah? And for radio, it's good for education through repetition through the day. So I think to summarize the whole thing up is get yourself a website. Then also when you're sending your emails, don't use the normal free handles that we have at Gmail, at Yahoo, at this, at that. Get yourself a domain. When you get a website, you get yourself a domain. Get a personalized email. That way people will take you more seriously. And apart from that also, it will help drive traffic to your main website. So thank you very much for listening, and do have a lovely evening.
Thank you very much. We are now just getting to the end and the close. Please remember, send me these points on my email. That's fantastic. I have had a wonderful day today. If you haven't, I did. It's been so rewarding to see the outcome of this planning. When Paul Kinuthia closed off his session, he promised that each one of us will have the opportunity to take away a diaper, which we can give. The gentleman who will now just tell you how you can pick it up, I'm going to give him a minute to come and tell you. He's called Captain Muriuki. He's a social marketer. He is actually, his profile reads that he was last in class. He repeated every class. He is married. He has now built a house 2 minutes away from here, and he represents Nice and Lovely, represents Equity Bank and Melvin T. So I'll just invite Captain Muriuki, just come and 1 minute tell us how we can go away with this bouncy diaper. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. They call me Captain Muriuki. That was not my name. I was K.I. Muriuki. But when I started talking to people, I looked for a stage name. My main work is Master of Ceremony in weddings. That's where I started. That is where Paul Kinuthia met me when he was working with Nice and Lovely. And he asked me whether I can be his ambassador. We never knew anything concerning social marketing. Then what is social marketing? It is giving away the real product of the company to the people, to the guests who have come, so that we create the demand after they go away. So that is how we started. And when I continued, people started giving me condition. When you come to be the MC of our wedding, remember to carry the product of Nice and Lovely. So that's how we've been doing with Mr. Kinodia, and that is what I'll also do today. Every company requires social marketer, but go according to your marketing design. Go according, create the demand to the people. Don't overgive. Because while you are driving today, how many billboards did you see? But today you remember concerning the bouncy. There are a lot of ladies that are going to give today if you are ready to use it after some few months. There are some people that I'm going to give who are using it at home. So if you have finished the family, please, maybe I'll not give you today. So I saw many ladies who are my candidate. Every time I walk on the street of Nairobi, and I saw ladies who are expectant. Maybe sometimes when I'm wearing this, I saw them smiling. Then I asked them, when you get the baby, can you call me and I'll give you a bouncy? They say, oh yes, are you serious? I always tell them, 1 month supply, call me. Then sometimes I get them when they are in maternity ward. Please, Captain, you know what? A baby boy, you promised me 1 month. Then I tell, remind me your name. You met me on Moy Avenue. Then I tell Kinodia, we have another burden. Let's create a demand there, and I have to take it. So this is social marketing. Thank you for giving me this platform. He said that I repeated every class. It's true. Some flowers blooms very early, other blooms very late. But all are beautiful flowers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain Morioki, for that. Wonderful. Please pick your bouncy diapers. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for your time. I want to invite Rapuro to give a closing and then releases. Rapuro, please. Just 1 minute so that you release everybody. Traffic window is closing. The latest report I have now is we need to leave.
Thank you, Robert. Mine is a very noble and brief duty. On behalf of the founders of the Top 100 Mid-Sized Companies Initiative, KPMG, and the Business Daily, I would like to thank all of you, the entrepreneurs, who found it fitting to spend a whole day with us here and share ideas. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you tomorrow at the gala dinner. I would also want to thank our sponsors, Sage Pastel, Strathmore Business School, the Nairobi Securities Exchange, UAP Insurance, Kuza Biashara, for finding it useful to partner with us in growing and sustaining this initiative over the years. Thank you very much. Finally, but not least, I would like to thank the teams from both KPMG and the Nation Media Group who worked very hard over the past few days to make this event what it has been since morning. Thank you very much, and God bless you.